All right, here we go. Let's talk about what's going to be on the quiz for tomorrow. Here we go. Number one. It says find the x and y intercept. So I give you an equation in standard form, and you got to find the x and y intercepts. I'm not going to go through all the details like this, like I would maybe in a CP class, okay? But I'll tell you generally what to study, okay? So I'm not going to do like a problem for each one of these. I'll just kind of tell you what I'm asking for. So it says find the x and y intercepts. Find the x intercept and the y intercept. She's allowed to cough. I mean, come on. You got to cough. You got to cough. You can't stop a cough. All right. So, and then I'm going to give you an equation. I don't know. Let's just make up an equation in standard form. So something x. Give me a number, quick. 5x. Let's go minus what? 2y equals. Give me a number. 10. Okay. Good. All right, so what if we had something like that? Okay, how would you find the x and y intercept? Yeah, so to find the x intercept, what do? We set y equal to 0. And to find the y intercept, what do? Set the x equal to 0. Okay? Everybody with me? And then, so what's our answer going to look like? Our x intercept is going to be some number 0, correct? Then our y intercept is going to be 0 and some number. So that's what they're going to ask for. They're going to ask, and you need to have your answer as an ordered pair. Don't just say the answer is 3. All right? If it's the x-intercept, it's what? It's 3, 0. Now, I'm not saying that this is 3. I'm just making a number up, okay? Everybody with me on that? So when they ask for the x and y intercepts, you must write it as an ordered pair. All right? That's number one. So I asked for the x and the y. You got to get them both right. Okay, you got to get them both. So there's an x-intercept and then there's a y-intercept. Everybody okay? All right. So number 2. I give you number 2 and 3 actually. So we'll say 2 and 3. I give you 2 equations in standard form, and you have to write the slope-intercept of that. Again, what was that one we just wrote down? What was it? 5x plus 2y equals 10. What if I asked you to put that into slope-intercept form? What would you do? Solve for what? Y, correct. Solve for y. All right, so if I was going to do this one, I would go 2y equals, subtract the 5x from both sides. Yeah? And then divide both sides by 2. And then y would be negative 5 halves x plus 5. And that would be it. I said I wasn't going to do problems, but I guess I did. So there'll be 2 of those. All right, 2 and 3. Everybody okay with that? Yeah, it's easy. Just get y by itself. 2 steps and you're done. Make sure you do simplify. Don't leave it 10 over 2. All right, or whatever the number is. Make sure you always simplify. There's no reason to change that to a mixed number. Keep it improper, all right? If it is, an improper fraction. Sometimes it's not, but if it is, keep it that way. All right, 4 and 5 are kind of the same. Write this in slope-intercept form. Yeah, this is the question, and they say write that in slope-intercept form. So you got to make it look like y equals mx plus b. All right? 4 and 5, I ask you to write it in standard form. So I'm going to give you some information, but you have to write the equation in standard form. What's standard form? We mentioned it a couple times already. Ax plus by equals c, correct. All right, so I'm going to give you a point and a slope. All right, I'm going to give you a point. Again, let's just make one up on our own. Give me nothing crazy. 2 what?
4.
Let's go negative 4, just to be different, okay? All right, and I also give you a slope. So give me just a nice, easy slope. What is it? 5 over 2? Okay, let's do 5 over 2. It's just a point.
Oh.
P just represents that point. Okay? So what would you do? If I wanted to put it into this, I'm not going to put that directly into this, though, am I? I'm going to put it into another form that we know. Okay? You can put it in slope-intercept form. We haven't done point-slope form yet? Why not? Was it in the book? It seems like something I should have gone over. Oh, I didn't plug my microphone in. Probably sounds terrible.
Oh, no, it's in the book.
And we didn't do it? Well, goodness. Let me plug this microphone in. All right, this should sound better. If anybody watches it. Let's just do it the way then without the point slope form. It would be a little bit easier in point slope form, but you want to see it? You want to know what point slope form is? It's really easy. Yeah, it's real easy. Now watch. You know what the slope is, right? It's rise over run. Change in what? Do you remember that? Change in y over change in x. Do you remember that? Did I not say that in here? Well, where was I that day? I did my Algebra 2 class, I remember, because we talked about that a lot, but I thought I did it in here. So do you remember this, y2 minus y1? Okay, good. At least I showed you that. So what we're going to do, the point slope form is basically just taking this and getting the y2 minus y1 by itself. All right, that's all it is. So this is the point slope form. You don't have to use it. I'm not asking you. I'm not saying that you have to use it. It may be a little easier. Why do you think the point slope form will be a good method for this? Because we have a what? We got a point and we have a what? A slope. All right, so it'd be nice, wouldn't it? If we had an equation that you could put the point in and the slope in, well, here it is. We get it from the slope definition. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get that y2 minus y1 by itself. How could I do that? By getting rid of the denominator. How would I get rid of that denominator? Multiplying. Right, so what am I going to get then? I'm going to multiply both sides, right, by x2 minus x1. So if I multiply it by this side, they'll just cancel out. What's it going to look like if I multiply it by this side? It's just going to be m times what? x2 minus x1. Good. So that right there is the point slope formula. Sometimes it's very, very useful. And in this situation, I think it is very useful. So how do we use it? Now, when I say y2 minus y1, sorry about that. What we're going to do is this. This is how we usually write it like this. Instead of y2 minus y1, we just say y minus y1, and we say x minus x1. The ones with the little subscript, you know what the subscript means? That little 1 underneath of it. That represents a point on the line. All right, so this would be my what? x1, and this would be my y1. So how do we do this? We just say y minus y1. What's my y1? Negative 4. So it's minus negative 4 equals m. What's my m? 5 over 2. It's a slope. They give it to us, okay? Remember, they gave you this point. They gave you this slope right here. All you want to do, all they want you to do, is to write it into this form. Okay, but we use this one first because I can't like take the 2 and the negative 4 and put it in for here and here. Okay, I can't take the slope and put it here because there's nowhere in here where it's the slope, is it? All right, so I'm going to use this. Then I'm going to take this and make it look like that. I'll show you. So 5 halves x minus x1. What's my x1 here? It's a 2. And then let's try to put it in this form. So let's do this first. What's this going to be? Y plus 4 equals, what do we have here? 5 halves x, correct? Minus, what's this going to be? 5 halves times 2. Can you do that in your head? 5 over 2 times 2 over 1. Well, you could go 10 over, well, it's not 10 over 4. It's 10 over 2. Or, here's a better way to look at it. Like in your head, 5 over 2 times 2 over 1. What happens to this 2 and this 2? They just cancel each other out. So it's just what? Minus 5. You see that, right? If you really needed to, you could always come off to the side and do it, couldn't you? You see that? I mean, yeah, you're right. It is 10 over 2, but what is 10 over 2 reduced to? 5, because those 2's cancel out. Now, this still doesn't look like that, does it? Remember, I can't have any fractions with standard form, so I got to do something with that. Well, let's do a little bit more. Let's do a little bit more, okay? Let's put the y over on the right side and take the numbers and put them on the other side. So I'm going to subtract a y from both sides, so that'll cancel out. So I got 4 equals, I got 5 halves x, thank you, and then minus y minus 5. Are you guys following? See what I did? All I did was take the y and put it over here on this side. That's all I did. Now, let's get this number and put it over here on the left side. Add a 5, add a 5. What's that going to become? It's going to become a 9, isn't it? Just added 5 to both sides, right? 4 plus 5 is 9. You guys are very quiet. Is it because it's too easy and you're just writing it down, or you just don't understand what's going on? I have a feeling that you're lost. I get that vibe from you. I'll show you another way to do it, but does this look like this? It doesn't. If you wanted to make it look a little bit more like it, you could just go 5 halves x minus y equals 9. Now it kind of looks like that, doesn't it? Except for one thing. What do we say has to be true to be in standard form? You can't have any what? Fractions. Well, we got a fraction, right? How do we get rid of that fraction? Multiply everything by 2. That's right. So multiply that by 2, multiply that by 2, and multiply that by 2. 2's cancel. Watch. After I simplify this, then I'm finished. So what do I do here? That's just 5x minus what? 2y equals 18. And that is in standard form. So that's using the point slope form. You're like, well, that's kind of new to me. Not really sure about that. Let's do it the old way. Let's just do it in slope intercept form. It'll kind of be the same amount of work, I think, to tell you the truth. Let's take this and put it down here. Where'd that little slashy thing come from? Where'd that come from? I don't know. Let's do it another way. Let's do it the way that you probably would do it, right? Because you didn't know the point slope form before today, so you probably wouldn't have used this. So what would we do here? Well, I'd put it in the slope intercept form. Wouldn't you? So now, what do you put in for the stuff here? We've done this before for sure. What do you put in for the x and the y? The 2 and the negative 4. What do you put in for the m? The 5 over 2. That's right. So what's the y going to be? Negative 4 equals the m, which is 5 over 2, times the x. What's the x? 2, or 2 over 1, plus what? Plus b. So now we can find the y-intercept. All right, so then we can go y equals mx plus b, but then we still have to manipulate it a little bit to put it into the standard form. So let's do this. Well, that cancels, doesn't it? So I'm left with negative 4 equals 5 plus b. Subtract a 5 from both sides, so what's b? It's negative 9. So how does that help us? Oh, I know where that little slashy thing came from. It came from that. So let's write it in slope-intercept form, and then what do we have to do, though? We got to change it into standard form, and that's what all this did right here. So we may look at it and you're like, you know what? Maybe I do like that point slope form a little bit better. And you feel free to use it. Okay? So let's write it in slope intercept form. What is it? Y equals m which is 5/2 x plus b, or minus 9. But that's not in slope-intercept form, though, is it? But if you look at this, it's starting to look like this, isn't it? Do you see it? See how that and that kind of look the same? Yeah, and you're going to come out with the same exact thing. And you should. It's just two different ways to do it. All right? Let's get the x's and y's on the same side. So I'll keep that x right there since it's already positive. I'll move the y over here to the right. So how do I do that? I subtract a y. Let's move this minus 9 over here to the left. How do I do that? I add a 9, and so I get this. Look, exactly the same as what I had here, isn't it? All right, so we eventually got to the same exact place. And what do we do to get rid of the 2? Multiply everything by 2. And so I got, what, 18 equals 5x minus 2y. Let's write it so it looks a little nicer with the x and the y on the left-hand side. So it's just 5x minus 2y equals what? 18. And you get the same exact thing. So I don't know, which one do you like better? I kind of like the point slope form a little better, don't you? Right? You don't? Why not? It's less work than this. Look at all the work here. Look, this is, here, let's go a little smaller. Watch this. This is all the work for putting it into the slope-intercept form and then working it out. Look, this is all the work for just doing the slope or the point slope form. Wouldn't you agree? I think the point slope form is a little bit better way to do it. You can do it whatever way, I don't care. But you got to end up in this problem, in numbers 4 and 5, you have to end up with your answer in standard form, okay? You got that down? Okay, so there's 2 of them. 2 of them very similar to that. All right, let's do 6 and 7. 6 and 7 are kind of the same. This time, they just give you 2 points. I don't know if this is going to, if we just pick random points, not sure if it's going to come out real nice, but a couple of these don't come out real nice, or one of them comes out with a fraction as a slope and a fraction as a y-intercept, so it really doesn't matter. So let's just, again, let's pick reasonable numbers for give me 2 points. And don't make them all positive. Don't make them all negative either. Give me a point. Somebody give me a point. 3 negative what? 8? Okay. And give me another point. 2 negative 4? Okay. So what we're going to do, they give you 2 points, and what you have to do is write the slope-intercept form. Now make sure you're very careful when you read the problems on what form that your answer has to be written in. Okay, because sometimes they say write it in slope-intercept form. Sometimes they say write it in standard form. Okay? So this one says write it in slope-intercept form. All right, well, I got 2 points. What do I want to do? First of all, I can find something with those 2 points. What can I find? The slope, okay, because I want y equals mx plus b, correct? So that means I need to find the slope and I need to find the y-intercept. When I have the 2 points right here, finding the slope shouldn't be that hard. Would you agree? Yeah. So it's y2 minus y1, or you can go the other way. You can go 1 minus 2. It doesn't matter. Let's do that way. Let's go negative 8 minus what? Negative 4. Let's do the x's now. What is that? 3 minus 2. What's this? That's plus. Negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4 over what? 1, which is just negative 4. So that worked out kind of nice for just picking random points, didn't it? We got lucky. So we know the slope. What do we got to find now? The y-intercept, correct? So how do we do that? So I'm going to put a negative 4 in for the slope. How do I find the y-intercept? We did it already. We just did it on the last problem. What do I put in for x and y? What? This one or this one? No, you don't put a 0. We're not doing x and y intercepts. Well, we kind of are doing a y-intercept. That is true. But right here, what are we putting? This represents a point on the line. Do I know any points on our line? Yeah, I know 2 of them, don't I? So I can pick either one. It doesn't matter. You can pick the first one or the second one. Does not matter. You're going to come out with the same exact answer. Okay? Which one do you think would be a little easier? The 2, -4? Yeah, me too. So let's put that in there. So what is the y then? -4 equals m. We just found it, right? Which is also -4 times x. What's our x on this point? What's our x? The x is an 8. What's the x? It's a 2. It's going to come out to -8, but it's a 2. The x is 2 plus what? B. So all I did was plug in all the numbers I knew. I found this slope, plugged it in. I knew x and y represents a point on the line. I could take either one. I could take this one or this one. We just decided to take that one. Just looked a little easier. But you could pick either one. You're going to get the same exact answer. That's kind of crazy. And now we just work it out, solve for b. Once we solve for b, we just put it all together. We don't even have to do that standard form thing. So it makes it kind of nice. So what do I have? -4 equals -8 plus b. Add an 8 to both sides. Add an 8 to both sides. B equals what? 4. Now I'm ready to put it all together. I got to put it in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So what do I write? Y equals, what's my m? -4, and then x, and what's my b? +4, and that would be the answer. Okay? It's not too bad, is it? They give you 2 points. Just find the slope. Take either one of these points. It doesn't matter. Okay, put it in for the x and y right here. Solve for b. Once you get b, you already got m, so you only need those 2 things. You just stick it all together. Boom, you're done.
So is that what you just for 6 and 7?
Yeah, for 6 and 7. Yeah, just different points. Yep. Now, one's going to come out to nice integer numbers, and one's going to come out to fractions. Okay, so on the other one, like number 7, I think this is a fraction and this is a fraction. So a little bit more difficult as far as the math is concerned, but it's not that big of a deal. But the process is the same for 6 and 7. All right, we're almost done, right? 8, 9, and 10? Well, it's 8 and 9 are kind of the same. So I'm going to put like this. So 8 and 9 are kind of the same. It says write the slope-intercept form. So I'll just put slope-intercept form. So your answer is going to go into the slope-intercept form. And here's what they give you. They give you, it says write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. It says the line goes through or it passes through. Do you remember seeing this? Remember doing the parallel and perpendicular things? All right, that's what this one is. All right, so it goes through a certain point. Give me a relatively easy point. 2, 4, okay. All right, and it's parallel to a certain line, and they give you the line. All right, and it's, I don't know, y, I'll just make something up. Y equals 3x plus 1, okay? Everybody with me? All right, so what does this mean? If the line that I want to figure out is parallel to this line, what am I looking at? What do I care about? The slopes, that's right. And what's true about the slopes of any lines that are parallel to each other? They're the same. So what's the slope of the line that I want to find? It's the same as the slope of the line that they gave us, right? So what's the slope of the line that they give us? It's 3. So what's the slope of the line that I'm trying to find? It's also 3. What if they said perpendicular? Then my slope would be what? -1/3. Right, -1/3. Okay? Everybody hear that? Because I don't know if I have time to do the perpendicular one. But if it says perpendicular, the slope that I want to use for my line would be the negative reciprocal of the one they give us. So now, check this out. I've got a slope, I've got a point. Can I write the slope-intercept form with that information? Absolutely. Y equals what? mx plus b. What are we plugging in? This is the 3rd time today we've done this. Would you agree? Yep, 3rd time. So what do we put in for this stuff? Well, what's the x and the y? That's a point on the line. Do I know a point on our line? Yeah, it passes through this point, 2, 4. So what's going to be the y? 4. What's my slope? It's the same slope as the line that they gave us, right? Times what? 2, and then plus b. This is 4 equals 6 plus b. Subtract 6. Subtract 6. b is negative 2. Oops, that's supposed to be a negative 2. Now we write it all together. Y equals m, which is 3, x, and then minus 2. So this line is parallel to this one. How do I know just by looking at them that they're parallel to each other? They have the same slope, exactly right, okay? But this line goes through this point 2, 4, right? Because that's why I put it in there. I put a 2 for the x and a 4 for the y. So I know my line goes through the point 2, 4 and is parallel to this. What's the only difference with the perpendicular thing? Instead of this being a 3, then it would be a what? If it said perpendicular, negative 1/3. And then you just do the math, just like you did here, except this is a negative 1/3. Make sense? Number 10, I just asked you to graph, and I give it to you in standard form. All right. So in order to graph it, it'd probably be easier to change it into slope-intercept form. Would you agree with that? So I'm just making this up. 2x plus 3y equals, I don't know. What's that? Yeah, I give it to you in standard form. I would change it, if I were you, in a slope-intercept form. If you wanted, you could do the x and y intercepts and graph it that way, all right, if you wanted to. But if it was me, I probably would change this just in a slope-intercept form. So if I was to do this, I would move the 2x over here. So I get equals negative 2x plus 6, agreed? Divide by 3, divide everything by 3. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 6 over 3, which is 2. But I got to graph it, don't I? All right, so let's do this. Let's come over here and get a graph so it looks kind of nice, even though time's running out. Copy that. Come back here. There we go. All right, so if I wanted to graph this thing, what do? 2 is the y-intercept, right? So put a point right there at 2. The slope is negative 2 over 3, so I start here. I could go down 2, correct? That would be my negative 2, and then run 3. 1, 2, 3. And what do I do to those 2 points? Just connect them. That's right. And then there you go. There's your graph. Put an arrow on the ends. There's your quiz. It is recorded, I hope. Up to 16. Is that what I said? Up to 16 on that worksheet? Yeah. Everybody good? Okay.